There are seasons in life where nothing seems to be happening, where the days blend into each other, where you wake up and go to sleep and wake up again, and nothing on the outside looks any different than it did yesterday, or the week before, or the month before that. And in those seasons, it is easy to believe that you have been forgotten. It is easy to believe that stillness means absence, that quiet means abandonment, that because you cannot see movement, there is no movement at all. But that has never been true. Not once. Not for anyone who has ever waited. Not for anyone who has ever wondered. Not for you. Beneath the surface, something is always happening. Beneath the surface, God is working. Think about a seed, buried in the ground, in complete darkness, surrounded by soil that presses in on every side. There is no light down there. There is no sound. There is nothing that looks like progress. And yet, that is exactly where growth begins. The seed does not split open because someone is watching. It does not send down roots because conditions are convenient. It cracks and stretches and reaches downward before it ever reaches up. And no one claps for that part. No one sees it. No one is there to say, well done. But it happens anyway. It happens in the dark. It happens in the pressure. It happens in the place where nothing seems to be happening at all. And so it is with you. The waiting you are in right now, the uncertainty, the silence. It is not empty space. It is not a pause in your story. It is the place where the deepest parts of you are being formed, where the roots that will hold you steady later are being set down now, where you are being prepared, quietly, patiently, for what is still to come. You may not feel it. You may not see any evidence of it. But feeling is not the measure of truth. And sight was never meant to be the only proof of what is real. Some of the most important work that will ever be done in your life will be done in a place you cannot see, in a time you cannot track, in a way you will not understand until you look back and realize that was when everything changed. Let that be a comfort to you today. Let it settle into the tired places, the places that have been holding their breath, waiting for something to shift, waiting for a sign, waiting for proof that this season has not been wasted. It has not been wasted, not one day of it. Think about the way roots grow beneath a tree. You look at the trunk, you look at the branches, you look at the leaves catching the light, and you assume that is where the strength lives. But the truth is, the greatest strength of a tree is buried, hidden, spread out beneath the ground in a system you will never see with your eyes. Storms come. Wind pushes hard against the branches, rain floods the ground around the base, and the tree bends. It sways. It looks for a moment like it might not hold, but it holds. It holds because of what happened before the storm ever arrived. It holds because of roots that were growing long before anyone noticed a single leaf change color. It holds because the unseen work was already done. That is what is happening in you. Right now, in this season, roots are going down deeper than they have ever gone. And one day, when the wind comes, and it will come, you will not break, because something was built in the quiet that will carry you through the loud. This is how it has always worked. This is how it was designed to work. The parts of your life that feel the most hidden, the most unremarkable, the most uneventful, are very often the parts that matter most. Not the parts everyone can see, not the parts that get noticed or celebrated or applauded, but the parts done in private, the parts done when no one else is watching, the parts done simply because it was time to do them. That is where character is built. That is where faith is deepened. That is where you become someone who can carry more, hold more, endure more, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger in a place no one else witnessed. There is a kind of trust that can only be learned in silence, not the silence of neglect, but the silence of formation, the silence that exists because something sacred is happening beneath the surface, and sacred things are rarely loud. Think about how a river carves a canyon. It does not happen in a day. It does not happen in a year. It happens slowly, over time, one small movement of water against stone, again and again and again, until one day the shape of the land has changed entirely. If you only looked at the river for a single afternoon, you would see nothing remarkable. You would see water moving the way water moves. you would have no idea that you are witnessing the early stages of something that would eventually reshape the earth itself. That is what your life looks like from the outside right now. To some people, ordinary, unremarkable, the same as it was yesterday. But you are not the same as you were yesterday. Something is moving, something is shifting, something is shaping you slowly, the way water shapes stone. And one day, the change will be visible to everyone. But right now, it is happening beneath the surface. And that is exactly where it needs to happen. Some things cannot be rushed. Some things cannot be forced into being seen before they are ready. And that is not a punishment. That is not neglect. That is care. Because things that are rushed do not last. Things that are forced do not hold. But things that are formed slowly, patiently, beneath the surface, those things become foundations. Those things become the parts of you that nothing can shake. You have been asking why this is taking so long. You have been asking why the answer has not come yet. Why the door has not opened. Why the change you have been praying for has not shown up in the way you expected, or the timeline you hoped for. And it is right to ask. It is human to ask. Wondering is not the opposite of trusting. It is often a part of it. But consider this. What if the delay is not a denial? What if the waiting is not a withholding? What if what feels like silence is actually the sound of something being built that is too important to build quickly? A house is not built in a day. A tree is not grown in a season. A person is not formed in a moment. The things that last the longest take the longest to build. And you are being built for something that lasts. There is a version of you on the other side of this season that you have not met yet. A version who is steadier, wiser, less afraid, more sure of what they carry inside them. And that version of you is not being created out of nothing. They are being formed right now, in this very waiting, in this very ordinary, uneventful stretch of time that feels like it is going nowhere. It is going somewhere. It is going somewhere you cannot see yet, but it is going somewhere. Think about winter. Think about how the trees look bare, how the ground looks lifeless, how everything appears to have stopped. How, if you did not know better, you might believe that nothing was alive underneath all that stillness. But beneath the frozen ground, roots are resting, not dying, resting. Nutrients are being drawn in. Life is being preserved, held, protected, until the conditions are right for it to rise again. Winter is not the absence of life. Winter is life, doing what it needs to do, out of sight. And there is a kind of winter that comes to a person too. A season where everything on the surface looks quiet or even cold, where nothing seems to be blooming, where you look at your life and wonder if you have stalled out entirely. You have not stalled out. You are wintering, and wintering is not the same as dying. Wintering is preparation. Wintering is the slow, hidden work of gathering strength for what comes after. Spring does not ask permission to come. It simply comes when the time is right, after everything beneath the surface has done what it needed to do. Your spring is coming. It may not look like what you pictured. It may not arrive on the schedule you set, but it will come. Because that is how this works. Because that has always been how this works. Something in you already knows that. Something in you has known it all along, even in the moments when it felt easier to doubt it than to hold on to it. Hold on to it now. Let this be the moment where you stop measuring your life only by what is visible. Let this be the moment where you start trusting the process that is happening in places you cannot see, in timelines you cannot control, in a pace that was never meant to match your urgency. You were not made to rush. You were made to grow. And growth, real growth, the kind that lasts, almost always happens slower than we want it to and deeper than we can see. There is peace in that, if you let there be. There is peace in knowing you do not have to manufacture your own becoming. You do not have to force the seed to open early. You do not have to drag the roots up out of the ground to prove they exist. You simply have to trust that the process is real, even when the evidence is hidden. That is not blind trust. That is informed trust. Trust based on the way growth has always worked, in every living thing, in every generation, in every season since seasons began. Nothing that is alive grows all at once, out in the open, with no hidden stages. Nothing. Not a tree, not a river, not a person. So, if your life feels like it is in a hidden stage right now, Take that as confirmation, not as evidence against you. Take it as a sign that something real is happening, something patient, something careful, something being done with intention, even if the intention is not visible yet. You are not behind. You are not being punished. You are not forgotten. You are being formed, and formation takes time. Formation takes quiet. Formation takes trust. Let today be the day you stop fighting the process and start cooperating with it. Let today be the day you stop demanding to see everything before you believe anything. Let today be the day you rest into the truth that has carried every living thing before you and will carry you too. Beneath the surface, beneath the waiting, beneath the silence, something is moving. Beneath the surface, God is working, even now, even in this, even when you cannot feel it, especially when you cannot feel it. Because the deepest work is rarely felt while it is happening. It is only recognized afterward, looking back, seeing the roots, the shape, the strength that could only have come from somewhere unseen. You will look back on this season one day, and you will not see wasted time. You will see the place where you were built. So breathe. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tension you have been carrying loosen, even a little. You do not have to have this figured out today. You do not have to see the whole plan to trust that there is one. Rest in the not knowing. Rest in the waiting. Rest in the truth that rest itself is not laziness. It is part of the process. It is part of how growth happens. Even the ground rests in its own way before it produces anything. Even the water rests in stillness before it carves anything. Even you are allowed to rest in this season without believing that rest means you have stopped moving forward. You have not stopped. You are simply moving in a direction that has not surfaced yet. Let that be enough for today. Let it be enough to know that something is happening, even without proof, even without a timeline, even without an explanation that satisfies every question you have. Some things are understood only in hindsight. Some peace can only be found in trust, not in certainty. And you can have that peace, right now, in this moment, simply by choosing to believe that what is unseen is not unreal, that what is quiet is not absent, that what is hidden is not lost. It is being kept, it is being shaped, it is being prepared. Beneath the surface, something good is happening. Beneath the surface, something is always happening. Let that truth settle over you now, like something warm, like something steady, like something that has been true long before you needed to hear it, and will remain true long after this moment passes. You are not standing still. You are rooting, you are deepening, you are becoming. And one day, what has been hidden will rise, in its own time, in its own way, exactly when it is supposed to. Until then, trust the roots, trust the process, trust that beneath the surface, something is working on your behalf, for your good, even now, especially now. Rest in that. Hold on to that. Let it carry you through whatever this season still asks of you. You are not alone in the dark places. You were never meant to do this by yourself. And what is happening beneath the surface of your life right now is happening with care, with purpose, with a patience that outlasts your doubt. So let the roots grow, let the work continue, let the quiet do what the quiet does best, and trust that what is beneath the surface will one day rise to meet the light. Think about a fire, banked for the night. You look at it before you go to sleep, and all you see is ash, grey and quiet, with no flame in sight. If you did not know how fire works, you might assume it had gone out completely, that whatever warmth had been there was gone for good. But underneath that ash, there are embers, glowing, low, hidden, holding on, and in the morning, when the ash is brushed away and a little air is given room to move, the embers catch again. The flame returns. Not because it was created from nothing, but because it was never actually gone. It was only covered, resting beneath a surface that looked from the outside like the end. There are embers in you right now that you may have mistaken for ash. Passions you thought had died. Dreams you thought had faded. Hope you thought had burned all the way down to nothing. They may not be gone. They may simply be banked, covered, resting under the ash of disappointment or delay or a season that asked more of you than you expected to give. Do not mistake the covering for the ending. fire that is banked is still fire, and a heart that is resting is still alive, still warm, still capable of burning again, brighter than before, the moment the right air moves across it. That is part of what is happening beneath the surface. The tending of embers, the quiet preservation of things that matter, hidden just long enough to be protected from a wind that would have put them out too soon. Think, too, about the way a pearl is formed. It does not begin as something beautiful. It begins as an irritation, a grain of sand or some small foreign thing lodged where it does not belong, rubbing against something soft and living. And in response, slowly, layer by layer, something is applied over that irritation, a substance that, on its own, does nothing remarkable, but applied again and again, over months, over years, in complete darkness, beneath the surface of a shell that no one is examining, it becomes something of value, something smooth, something that did not exist in that form before. The very thing that caused the discomfort becomes the site of the transformation. You may be carrying an irritation right now, a wound, a disappointment, a grief that will not leave you alone, and it is right to name that it hurts. It is right to admit that it is uncomfortable, even now. But do not assume that discomfort has no purpose. Something can be forming around the very thing that hurts you, layer by layer, quietly, in a place no one else can see. And one day, what caused you pain may be the very thing that becomes evidence of what you carried and what you became in spite of it, and because of it. That is not a promise that pain is good. Pain is pain, but it is a reminder that even pain does not go to waste in the hands of a process bigger than your understanding. Consider a foundation poured before any walls go up, before there is a house to look at, before there is a roof to shelter under, before there is anything visible that resembles a home. There is concrete poured deep into the ground, out of sight, curing, hardening, settling into place. No one drives by and admires a foundation. No one takes a photograph of the first few weeks after concrete is poured and calls it beautiful. But without it, nothing above it would stand. Every wall depends on it. Every room depends on it. Every year that house will stand depends on work that was completed before the parts anyone can see were ever built. You are in a foundation season. It is not the part of the process that gets admired. It is not the part that draws attention. But it is the part that will hold everything else up later, when the visible parts of your life begin to rise. Let the foundation set. Let it cure. Let it take the time it needs, even if that time feels longer than you would like. Because what is built on a rushed foundation eventually cracks, and what is built on a foundation that was allowed to set properly stands for a very long time. Think about the ocean and the way the surface can look calm on a still day, smooth, undisturbed, almost like glass. And yet, beneath that calm surface, currents are moving. Entire systems of water shifting in patterns too vast and too deep for the eye to track from the shore. The ocean's power was never in what could be seen from the beach. It was always in what moved beneath. Your life may look calm right now, from the outside. It may look to others like nothing much is happening. But calm on the surface does not mean stillness underneath. There can be a current moving in you, carrying you somewhere, even when the surface gives no indication of where you are headed. Trust the current. Trust that movement does not have to be visible to be real. Trust that some of the most powerful things that will ever happen in your life will happen far beneath anything anyone else could observe. Think about a caterpillar entering a place of stillness before it becomes something else entirely. From the outside, that stage looks like sleep or like ending. It looks sealed off, motionless, closed, but inside, everything is being rearranged, completely. The old structure breaking down so that a new one can form. A process so total that if you interrupted it too early, nothing good would come of it. It has to stay hidden for the process to finish. There is a kind of transformation that seasons like the one you may be in bring about. Something is being rearranged inside you that cannot happen out in the open, or on a schedule set by anyone but the process itself. Let it happen. Let it stay hidden as long as it needs to stay hidden. What emerges on the other side will not look like what went in, and that is not something to fear. That is the entire point. Think about dawn, about how the sky begins to change long before the sun ever crests the horizon. how the darkest hour of the night is often the one right before the light returns, how the birds sometimes begin to sing before there is any visible proof that morning is coming. They do not sing because they can see the sun. They sing because something in them knows it is coming. Let something in you know it too. Let there be a kind of trust that does not wait for visible proof before it begins to hope again. A trust that sings in the dark, not because the darkness has ended, but because it knows, somehow, that it will. That knowing is not naive. That knowing is not denial. That knowing is the quiet confidence of every living thing that has ever waited through a night and found morning waiting for it on the other side. Morning is coming for you too. It may not have arrived yet, but the sky is already changing, even if you cannot see the color shift from where you are standing, even if it still looks, to you, like the middle of the night. Keep watching. Keep waiting. Keep trusting the process that has never once failed to bring morning after night, spring after winter, growth after stillness, since the beginning of everything that has ever grown. You are part of that same process. You are held by the same patience that holds the seasons, the tides, the roots, the dawn. Nothing about what you are going through is being wasted. Nothing about this quiet season is being overlooked. Beneath the surface, right now, in ways you cannot measure and cannot rush, something good is being formed in you. Let that be enough for today, and let it be enough again tomorrow, and the day after that, for as long as this season lasts. Because it will not last forever. No hidden season does. One day it will rise. And when it does, you will understand, in a way you cannot understand right now, why it had to happen the way it did, in the order it did, at the pace it did. Until that day comes, rest, trust, breathe. Think about bread dough, left to rise, covered on a counter, set somewhere warm and out of the way. From the outside, in those early minutes, nothing looks different at all. It looks like flour and water, sitting still, doing nothing. But underneath the surface of that dough, something is happening that the eye cannot catch in real time. Tiny, living things are working, slowly, quietly, releasing something that will eventually cause the whole thing to expand, to lighten, to become something it was not an hour before. If you touched it too soon, if you cut it open before its time, you would find it dense, unfinished, not yet what it was meant to be. But if you let it rest, if you gave it the time it needed, in the warmth, covered, undisturbed, it would rise. Every time. Not because you forced it, but because you trusted a process older than your impatience. There is a rising happening in you that cannot be rushed either. You may feel dense right now, unfinished, heavier than you want to be. But that is not the final state. That is simply the state you are in while something works beneath the surface of you, doing what it does best when it is left alone, covered, protected, trusted. Give it time, give it warmth, give it the same patience you would give anything you hoped would rise. Think about how mountains are formed. Not overnight, not through a single dramatic event, but through the slow, relentless pressure of one thing pushing against another, for longer than any person could witness in a single lifetime. Nobody stands at the base of a mountain range and watches it grow. The growing happens on a scale too slow for human eyes. And yet, the results are undeniable, towering, permanent, unmistakably real. Some of what God is building in you will take that long too, not because He is slow to act, but because what is being built is meant to last for generations, not just for the moment you are currently standing in. You may not live to see the full height of what is being formed in you right now, but your children might, or the people you will one day lead, or love, or influence in ways you cannot yet imagine. The pressure you are under is not random. It is shaping something that will outlast you. That is not a small thing. That is not a wasted thing. That is one of the most significant things a life can do. Think about how a wound heals, beneath a bandage, out of sight. You do not watch the individual cells doing their quiet work. You simply wait and change the bandage and wait again. And if you are patient and you protect the wound from things that would reopen it before it is ready, one day you find it has closed without you ever having witnessed the moment it happened. That is how so much healing works. It happens beneath a covering, without an audience, on a timeline you cannot see or control. If you are healing right now from something, a loss, a betrayal, a disappointment that cut deeper than you expected, Know that the healing is not something you have to manufacture through sheer will. It is something that happens quietly beneath the surface while you simply keep showing up, keep protecting the wound, keep trusting that closing it fully is not up to you alone. You are being tended to, even when it does not feel that way, even when the ache is still present, even when you cannot yet see the place where the wound used to be. Think about how the roots of grass hold an entire hillside together, unseen beneath the surface, keeping the ground from washing away in a storm that would otherwise carry it downhill. You never think to thank the roots. You barely know they are there. But without them, everything above would slide, collapse, come undone. There are roots like that in your own life. Quiet convictions, small daily faithfulnesses, private moments of choosing to keep going when no one was watching. And those roots are holding more together than you realize. They are the reason you have not come undone in seasons that could have swept you away entirely. Do not underestimate what is unseen in you. Do not assume that because something is quiet, it is unimportant. Some of the most structurally significant parts of a life are the parts that never get noticed at all. So take inventory, gently, of what has held you together so far. The small faithfulnesses, the private prayers, the moments no one saw. And know that all of it mattered. All of it still matters. All of it is part of the beneath the surface work that has kept you standing and is keeping you standing now. And remember, beneath the surface, God is working. Even now, even in this, even in you. Rest, tonight or today, in whatever hour you are hearing this. Let your body soften. Let your mind quiet. Let the questions you have not yet answered wait a little longer, without demanding resolution before you allow yourself peace. You do not have to see the roots to trust they are there. You do not have to witness the rising to know the dough is doing what it was made to do. You do not have to understand the whole shape of the mountain being formed in you to trust that it is being formed with purpose, with patience, and with care. Beneath the surface, something good is happening. Beneath the surface, you are being held. Beneath the surface, God is working. Even now, even in this, even in you.